was. That's always a beautiful thing. Thank you for the recording. Today, I thought we'd look at a little writing by Jeff Foster. And if you don't know Jeff Foster, he is a meditation teacher from the UK who recently became very, very ill. And so ill, I think a lot of us thought he was going to die. He's a fairly young guy, but he's a beautiful writer. Go to Facebook. If you do anything on Facebook, get Jeff Foster. He does little talks. He does a lot of writing. And as he was getting close to feeling like he was going to die, it turns out he had Lyme disease and it was being untreated and it was getting him. He started a whole different kind of writing. And the writing was the writing that he just wrote about being a spiritual teacher. And one of the things he said about that is, if I have to be perfect, if I've got to get it all right, I want the messiness of being human. I want people to see how that works out. How do we relate to the tragedies, to the illnesses, to the divorce, to the hate my job? How do we do that? That's interesting. But this idea of being idealized or perfect or getting it right is really a setup, not for the teacher, though. It's a setup for you, because since that's not possible for any of us, you're going to believe that the practice doesn't work. You're going to believe that the teachings aren't true. It's not accurate. What was accurate is you were looking for somebody else to save you. And that's never going to be true, is it? There's only you. You're going to lift you up. You're going to wake you up. You're going to, and then all those others, the ones you like and the ones you don't like, will be your support, won't they? They will be your support. You may not be clapping at that moment, and they are your support. They're there for you. So let's look at one of Jeff's. Since I wanted to sit today with some silence for us all, because we don't do it enough. Let me see if I can't pull up that piece by Jeff. It's just right here. Here it is. Let's see if it pops up. Here it is. This is called Listen from Silence. So why don't we prepare to sit? Listen from silence. Listen to everything from there, and it will all be that deep listening that we all want, both for ourselves as we communicate and express, and we want it for others so that they know, right, that we're here. They know that we're here. And all the talking we do, it's taken me a really long time to get this, still working on it. All the talking we do will not be as great as holding another in still, silent, and open space. I learn it again every day. And here's this by Jeff Foster. Listen from silence. Be present. Be here. Feel your feet on the ground, your belly rising and falling. Be open and receptive to the life all around you. The sounds, smells, tastes, feelings rising unexpectedly, a tingling in the belly, a contraction in the throat, heaviness in the head, an old sadness coming to visit. Stay curious as the moment dances. Listen. Listen with your entire body. Hear yourself. Hear the other. Hear the silence in between the sentences. Let the silence linger a little while longer. There's no rush. There's no better moment to get to. Silence doesn't always need to be filled. Be a little more naked, a little slower. Know a little less what you're about to say. Be a little less prepared, a little messier, a little more willing to expose your vulnerable heart. Be surprised at your own responses. Don't numb yourself with the same old stories. Stumble if you need to. It's okay. You are held. Let your words emerge from silence and return to them. Notice if you're talking just to avoid the silence. Notice if you're regurgitating a story you've told before. Notice if you're trying to impress or win love or avoid being seen for who you really are. Friend, in silence we truly meet. Genuine understanding is beyond mind. Love is wordless, needs no more words. Listen to the silence. It is volcanic. And so let's sit. By Jeff Foster. We do not need to fill the space. As we were talking about prayer the other day, didn't we say this? That the prayer really rests there? The bow, right there in the silence. And so we begin to incline the mind, not first towards the silence, because the objects are so prominent for us. We spend so much time looking at, touching, smelling, seeing, sensing objects. We turn first towards an object because it's easiest for us, but it is the object of our own being. Feeling the feet, the legs, and the hips. And where do you really feel them? The back of the leg, the bottoms of the feet, maybe the calf resting against a chair. How does silence hold this body? And then the back, the arms, the head. Knowing its uprightness, knowing its weightedness, no words. And then with a nice big in-breath, let's take one together. Slide that out breath down the front of the body, letting everything be soft. And then for a few breaths, we breathe right into the heart space. Unknotting, untangling, and creating space for whatever is there. And then we simply breathe with. In fact, it's not really true, is it? We are being breathed. And we feel what we know. I know the aliveness of this body, this moment. I know the pervading silence all around, within, under, over, and through everything. And let's rest there together. May this practice be dedicated this morning to Sharon, a friend of ours who is going through a significant surgery this morning. May we hold her in her hope, in her fear, in her human vulnerability, as we hold ourselves. Settle the body in that silence. Settle the mind. Placing the weary mind somewhere in the body where it can abide this silence. Notice the mind being caught by objects, maybe sounds, thoughts, or sensations, and remembering that this is not a problem in our practice. We simply create room and space for seeing, for knowing that even in the sound, even with the thought, can you find the silence? The beginning and the end of a sound. Silence pervades even the whole of this sound. The sound could not be known without silence. listening to the breath arising from silence, pervaded by silence, returning to silence. Being watchful that we don't misperceive silence as nothing or deadening is filled with aliveness. It holds everything. There is not only the silence around us, there is this deep silence within. All deep knowing is silent. It comes without words. The deepest love is silent. unutterable beyond language. Feel the truth of that in the body. The mind cannot know it. A silent space of receiving, of opening, of embracing. Deep listening begins best in silence. Silence is an essential characteristic of awareness. It greets everything without preference. Empty of itself. It requires one's whole being. Silence is felt. And like awareness, silence is not disturbed by objects, the objects of sound, objects of sight, of touch. It is only open and spacious. It is in silence that all things unspoken are heard and held and loved. Silence is not an external experience, it is internal. It's the quality of the heart mind that opens to all things. With, without knowing, without prejudice, without bias, without thought or words. And then when the words arise as they are now, we see that they cannot disturb the silence. If it is not sound or words that disturb silence, what is? And if silence is all pervading, imperturbable, cannot be disturbed, what is? It is in silence that there is peace and ease and calm and complete connection, so subtle, even the tiniest vibration is known. May we all find the silence in the midst of the day, in the midst of the busyness, the doing, the thinking. Let it be a guide. May we dedicate this silence along with the all pervading qualities of love, compassion, equanimity, and joy. May we send it to Sharon and all those in need. May we remember to drink from the cup of silence this day and every day. And may it be a benefit. And then from silence, right? You can trust a little bit more what comes, can't you? This is different, by the way, than the silence of separation, right? The silence of disconnect. That's not really silence at all. In fact, that's quite a large communication. It's filled with vibration, isn't it? You just can't, it's just thick and hard and hot, and, right? It's not really silent at all. In fact, it's void of something, isn't it? Silence by its nature is not empty or void at all. Quite the opposite. You can pick up everything, right? We sit at Quest Haven, right? And we can hear the movement of the birdwing, can't we? And we are in awe, right? That's very different than the separating nature of this other perceived silence. The silence of aggression, right, is very, very different. So don't mistake them. So if silence cannot be disturbed, what is? My husband came while we were meditating and put in a load of wash. And there was clank, clank, beep, beep, whir, whir, no problem. No less silence there. So what if it cannot be disturbed by its nature? What can? Who's got an idea? Everybody's looking.
The gripping mind.
The gripping mind, Libby said. Courtney's nodding. The gripping mind. What's it gripping? What's the grip? What's all that? The preferencing, the bias, the prejudice, the wanting and the not wanting, isn't it? Yeah. No. Or give me it. I want it. It's mine. I want it. We do that with silence, even, don't we? We reject it and or cling to it. And it's no longer silence, actually. Yeah. Chatter, Dennis says. That's right. It will evidence itself as noise, won't it? It'll evidence itself. But isn't there sound, voices, language? Let's even go to chatter for fun. That could be held by silence. Couldn't it? Could be held by it. So
I call it something different. Bear attention.
Bear attention. Yeah.
In other words, not putting a label on it.
Mm-hmm.
Before the labeling.
Right. Before the labeling. Beautiful, Greg. Before the label. Before the movement, right? Before the grip, the attach, the cling, the reject, before that. Then it's simply arising, passing phenomenon is what the Vipassana tradition says, don't they? Just phenomenon. Not mine, not yours, not just phenomenon, which really does a beautiful job in silence. Just floats right along. So it isn't the thinking in the mind, actually. It's not our problem. No wave in the ocean is the problem, they say. Right? So where does the difficulty, see, where does it get you? This is the key. Where do you get hooked? I don't want that thought. That's the hook. I want only these thoughts. The judging mind. Yeah, it's a quality of mind. Oh, thank you, dear. We have the beast looking for his whipped cream. Go get your whipped cream. My husband gets a coffee and the little man gets a, what is that called? A puppuccino? Is that your puppuccino? Yeah. So what's judgments? What's the judging mind then? Let's go further. What's judging?
I call it a solidifying.
Solidifying, Libby says. Something grabbing, rigid, fixed, solid, separate. Boy, doesn't it do that? The minute you solidify something, you've got a this over here and that over there. Mind.
It's also rejecting.
Rejecting. Yes, it is very much so, Victor. It has both the movements, doesn't it? Give me it, give me it. And they're both separating, by the way. They're both separating, right? So there is this quality of mind, the one that goes into, from the Satipatthana's point of view, by the way, it is an arising object. This is its circle, an arising object, a perception of it. It's been now made contact with. There's contact, right? And what in the contact happens? Right there. There it is, Victor said. Blech. Or there it is, yum. Right? Either one. That's perception, liking or not liking, wanting or not wanting. And now the mind is in movement. We call that attachment and aversion, right? But really, is the problem there? Is it in the object? No, you couldn't blame the object. Is it in even the impulse or the perception? Well, you couldn't blame that. That's just part of the right brainstem's deal. So where's the problem? Not there, because every perception I can see, oh, I can feel my grippy nature. I can see my, right, not wanting mind. Is a rejecting mind that is known a problem? Not at all. That's what Jeff Foster said. There's the messiness. There's the messiness of it all. Is judgment by its nature the problem? Not at all. Not at all. It is the unknowing, the unrecognizing, right? The identifier, we could even go to this, the one that takes it on and right sticks it to oneself. I call that pinning the tail on the donkey, right? That's my mind labeling, claiming, identifying. This now becomes the suffering. This is filled with suffering, isn't it? Totally filled. And Greg said, bear attention. Well, in bear attention, there is silence. In bear attention, isn't there, Greg?
Correct. That's why I kind of like the term, because silence sort of sounds, it makes it like if there's a sound, then somehow you're you're perceiving that, you know, that there was an issue with that. But no, really, whatever is arising is, if it's in bare attention and you're not labeling it, then well, there's nothing wrong. Everything is just arising. And as soon as I call it mine, then I got a problem.
Mine or not mine. Big problems. Big problems. I wouldn't have turned that washer on if it were mine. Now it's a problem. Right? And so we have to be careful, don't we? We're training. We establish the mind of silence, stillness, and bare attention on purpose every day, so that that phenomenon is recognized, so that one's appraisal, perception, and then impulse is recognized. And so that we can then what? Be skillful, kind, loving, and compassionate. It's the only thing left then with it all. You wouldn't get rid of it. You just go, like that. Right. When you, seeing clearly, feeling the truth of it. Right. Through bare attention. And so this is what one of the points of the practice, by the way, one of the points of the practice is cultivating the sharpened lens of bare attention. So that as you move through this beautiful life, and then what? The truth of its tragedies as well. You aren't, to use my Jewish friend's Yiddish term, kerfluffled. You're abiding in what? Stillness, silence, open space, filled, this is our second characteristic, filled with receptivity, openness, filled. Can anybody feel that? Could you feel the no longer that thing over there or this thing over here or me separate from it? It just becomes a part, you could say, of the what would be the landscape or the masterpiece or the, I don't even know the right word, the fabric of it all, right? You couldn't separate anything from it. It's just all in its beautiful, as the Dzogchen says, the brilliance, the radiance of
How about
life.
flow? The flow of it.
Flow is lovely, isn't it true? And it's not static, is it? See, this is the thing about silence, that we often imbue silence with this idea of static nature. It is not static. It is not static by nature. It is simply open, right? And so we're going to look for it throughout the day and week, because we have to cultivate that quality of mind so that we can, particularly in the tsunami moments, right? Rest. And by the way, I don't think rest, somebody said this to me yesterday, I don't think rest means nothing. I think that's another mistake, right? We mistake open, spacious, still, and silent as nothing. And then we have to correct ourselves, right? And say, no, it's everything.
Well, in the flow, it's really change. Everything is changing. And it's really just watching that.
Right? And being it. You are no longer even just the watcher. You're in the flow. You and it. Right? There is no more me here doing it there. There is just it happening. And I'm a part of it as much as Greg is a part of it, as much as Courtney's a part of it, as much as Little Man here is a part of it. And then where's the viewer? Where's the view? Well, we know there is none. There's really none. It's all a part of the one, right?
But I think, Diana, don't you think sort of like in the first stage, really of bare attention, it's really you are being the witness?
Yes, in the very first. That's how we begin.
Right.
We don't know how yet to simply be. Oh, I have to stop there. You can't go on. Yes, that's why the Vipassana was understood, Greg, by some traditions as not being sufficient, because it stays in a witnessing rather than a open, whole experiencing of that, right? And by the way, I in no way see it as deficient. I don't see it as deficient. I think I have to go right back to that time and time again myself. I have to, right? I have to first organize this mind in stillness, silence, and then open again. And then I eventually get swarmed up, caught in something. Well, for me, it's really better to come right back into that witnessing because that's the non-claimer, right? That's a non-claimer. It's a little more complicated. I don't know, it's not the right word. It's not more complicated. I'm making this up. It's beyond attention. There is what?
Unity,
What?
unity.
Unity, that's it, right? See, then there's no subject object. Beyond attention, there's no the attender and the attended. There is only unity. And that's what the Dzogchen, the further tradition said. It's true. Every element of it is true. There is the me perceiving this, me reacting to that, right? Oh, yes. And without a cultivated quality of heart mind, you can't get to the other, can you? You just can't get there. That's why bare attention is a beautiful start. Necessary. You couldn't get there.
And you can't force it.
And you can't force it. That's exactly, Libby says, you can't force it. You can't give it to somebody, right? You can only what? In the being, and in the returning, which is a choice, right? These are all wise qualities of mind. And bare attention is a wise quality, necessary, foundational, we could say, quality of mind. But you will not be left there. Right? We did this in the jhana trainings, didn't we, Greg? Right? We just sat
Right.
really in bare attention until everything else melted away. And it did, didn't it?
Right.
There was no thing, there was no me, there was no breath, there was no other, there was no, it was ridiculous. And we laughed, right? Remember? We'd laugh as we were saying it. Right? That thing over there. Well, there's no thing. And
Then
that,
it all becomes one
that's right.
through that.
That's right. That's right. So we're just trying today to see if we can't cultivate some quality of stillness, silence every day. Now, by the way, does that mean there's not sound? No, that's not what I said. Does that mean there's not the cranky somebody? No, I didn't say that either. Does that mean we have to run off to a cave? No, Milarepa, guess what? In our story on Saturday, Milarepa sat in that cave for years, left to get firewood, came back, and all the demons were right there. All the demons right there. Right? We can't get away from this life. This is one of the spiritual bypasses that we can find ourselves in, can't we? All of us. Just get me out of here. Get me out of here. Well, it's not going to work that way. But I can get towards, I can be with, I can bring these qualities of attention without bias, prejudice, but it requires stillness and silence still. We have to cultivate it, don't we? Don't you feel different now, everyone? Is there anybody who doesn't feel different mind, more available, open than when we began? And that doesn't mean you're happy. I didn't say that. That doesn't mean you're not thinking. That doesn't mean you're not swarming with thoughts, but there is a different relationship to it. We are at least at the beginning of that relationship. Can I simply be with, bear witness, and abide? And then see what happens. Right. Courtney writes, a way to make sense of the groundlessness. Yeah, everything then is both, isn't it? A part of the ground, the essential ground of being. Everything's in it, and nothing to cling to, and nothing to separate from. You're not going to get out of it either, are you? That's the groundlessness. If we could just row and get away from all the shit we don't like, we'd do it. All of us would get in that boat. Just get me, go, rah, rah, rah. Except you can't get away from it. Why? this life, of which I am an essential part. This life. That's why we don't have to worry. We just have to be. We don't have to worry. I don't know what's going to happen with the planet. I don't know. I just know I just got to be with the truth of that, doing the right and continuing and opening. And if we are in that unity that Greg named, then the truth is we couldn't continue, could we, to be rejecting hateful. We couldn't. And we won't. We won't. I wanted to just switch topics for a second. Thank you for that. We're looking for that quality of heart mind. And with several breaths, once we establish it like we did this morning, I want you to see how much easier it is to make contact with it now. We have already carved a path. We have, right, to it. You will notice that it is more available to you today than it might be on another day. I want you to see that. And I want you to be inspired by it like I am. Right? So that's our practice. Finding moments of silence in the midst of it all, says Jeff Foster. And I will send the poem out. So then Sharon Salzberg, one of our friends, a longtime friend, Sharon Salzberg, new book called Real Life. Now, Sharon's written about 6 books: Real Happiness, Real Work, Real Change. We did Real, I think there's a 4th, Real Happiness, Real Work. We did The Enemy Within. She has got her new book releasing on April 11th. I sent out chapter 1. Did everybody get that? You should have. I sent out chapter 1. She gave it to us. How sweet is that? We're going to start that the week before the book comes out on, I believe it's April 4th, for our next book, Real Life. You can pre-order that book. It's both an ebook and, of course, a real book. I believe it may only be in hardcover right now. I'm not sure. I got the ebook to begin. So just know that that's going to be coming. And Sharon will talk a lot about being with in this bare attention. And I'll look forward to doing that with you starting in April. Is there anything else for right now?
I'm just checking on everybody's awareness.
What are you noticing?
I think it's what you notice.
It's just here. And that's the Dzogchen tradition, by the way, that says, you didn't get the Sharon chapter. Okay, Rick and Joyce, thank you. Could everybody look? I sent it, gosh, it was a pretty big email. Did anybody see it? No. This is amazing. No, you didn't either, Greg, or you did?
I did not.
You did not.
I didn't see it either. This
You
is Seth.
okay? Seth, you didn't get it either. That means it got held up because I attached that chapter. And
Yeah, I
so
didn't get it either.
you didn't either? Okay, so
Mm-mm.
it didn't go. I mean, I sent it, but it got jammed in the outbox. I did attach that chapter. Okay, thank you for letting me know that. I will go back and see how to do this a different way. Not sure about that yet, but I will get it figured out. Victor, you didn't either?
No, not attachment.
Okay, no, same with the big chapter 1 document. Thank you for letting me know that. I'm gonna get that sent out today. Really because I want you to get inspired by her first chapter. And we have access to it. So we'll be starting on that on April 4th. Greg, you're getting ready to leave town, so am I.
Yes, we'll have a meditation on Thursday, but yeah, I'm gone Monday. Next Monday
For a month.
for a month, yes.
And did you have someone to cover that?
Well, I think there's several people. I think Tanya has said that she will try to help out. I'm hoping that maybe you will. I don't know of anybody else actually specifically besides Tanya
Courtney.
and yourself.
Courtney can cover some, Greg.
Courtney, okay, good.
Yeah. Courtney, we're gonna talk, so we'll figure out when you can do that, and I'll step in on that, Greg, also.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we'll cover you until, is it around April 15th-ish?
April 13th, we're back, and then,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, the
We-
body's back, but the brain's still somewhere.
No, we'll cover the 13th for sure,
Okay.
also. I think that's a Thursday,
Might be, yeah.
might be, okay. Yeah, Courtney, let's talk. Tanya, let's get something, and maybe Joyce as well. We'll chat and get that covered. That'll be wonderful. Also, thank you to everyone who's covering on Saturday and Tuesdays while I'm gone in Tulum, Mexico. I'm very excited. Yes, I'm so excited to be there. And yes, we do know to be cautious and careful. Thank you, everyone. There has been an event down there that did breed some anxiety. So we're going to hold that in still silent awareness, right? We're going to pay attention. Best thing we can do towards our own well-being and the well-being of others. So, all right, group, let's sit for just a few more minutes, if you don't mind. We're going to be offering a dedication now, and I will be calling Sharon again. If you have someone you'd like to call, stay unmuted so that we can call those names out. We do that. We used to do it regularly. We do it now more silently, but I want us to call them out today. I want those names to ring out in that stillness and silence, that bare attention filled with love. And as we return to the that bare attention, that open, still silent space imbued with compassion, wisdom. Breathe right into it. You are that right now. The minute we turn the mind towards those qualities, we are alive, infused. And then we simply allow the body to breathe as we rest in those qualities. All deep listening, deep love, deep connection. that oneness, that unity, that flow. Right here. And may we dedicate this still, silent, open, boundless, groundless heart mind. May we offer this to the end of suffering and the realization of true abiding happiness and freedom. May we call to mind those we love and those in need. Those who are fearful, those who are hungry, those who are lonely, those being born, and those dying. May we call them into this loving embrace. And may we call their names out loud now.
Okay.
Christopher,
Neil, my neighbors,
Shannon,
Peter,
Matt.
Torres,
Jordy,
Alex,
Gary Farmer,
Amy,
Norm,
Alex,
Shirley,
Juliana,
Alicia,
Catherine,
and
Barbara,
Anne,
Karen,
Sati,
Kathleen, Andrew,
Susan.
Tracy,
Alexandria,
John,
Alex,
Quinn and Fletcher,
Stephanie, Isabel,
Deanna,
Maria,
Emily,
Stephanie,
Sherry,
a homeless person.
and all beings.
all animals,
Mother Earth,
all the trees, the oceans,
May the silence filled with loving kindness, compassion, equanimity, and joy hold them all. May we all be happy. May we all be free from fear, from pain, from confusion, ignorance, hatred, and all suffering.
Ukraine, Russia, and Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia,
May we hold all countries, all worlds, all universes, all the heavens and all the hells. May they be held in equanimity. And may we all be well this day. So then to make that real, right? You cannot jump off your seat and go about the craziness of your day. You cannot. So then you will be required to stop, to pause, call to mind those for whom you have sent these blessings in that stillness, in that silence, at moments throughout the day. And you will know when to do it, won't you? Because you will have forgotten. That's the moment when we finally wake up and remember. We go, no, that's right. I'm going to take these 3 breaths. I'm going to make that blessing, that love alive right now. And I want you to see how it impacts you and your day. Okay? Deal? Deal. Okay, wonderful to see you all. Greg, I'll try to see you Thursday before we both head out. I look forward to being with everyone on Saturday. We will be here Saturday in the garden. It'll be the last time for a couple weeks. So those who can join, that would be lovely. I look forward to seeing you on Zoom or in person. And remember our retreat dates, March 31st through the 2nd. Please go to our websites and start to sign up. And everyone be well, be well. Mwah. Love to you all. Have a wonderful day. See you soon.